On a drizzly morning in Edinburgh, Sam Heughan woke up feeling heavy. His throat was raw, his breathing was labored, and his body was tired as if he had just gone through a long battle. His filming schedule was already tight, but today everything seemed too much. He sat back on the sofa, slumped slightly, when the door opened slightly. Caitriona Balfe walked in with a worried face. "Sam, you don't look well," she said, quickly placing her bag on the table and approaching. He tried to smile, his voice hoarse. "It's just the flu. Don't worry." But Caitriona didn't believe in just that. She quickly gave him fever-reducing medicine, placed a warm towel on his forehead. In that moment, Sam was no longer the strong, proud man on screen, but a weak person in need of gentle care. The next day, it was still raining, but this time Caitriona was the one lying in bed, shivering from a high fever. Sam, though still not fully recovered, struggled to get up. He made a pot of hot chicken soup, placed a small tray next to the bed, and sat next to her. "This time it's my turn," Sam said softly, his eyes firm but full of affection. "I won't let you suffer alone." Caitriona laughed softly, though her voice was weak. "It's a miracle that you made soup, without burning the stove." They looked at each other, laughing softly in the quiet room. Outside, the rain was still falling, but in that small house, there was warmth spreading from simple care. No need for stage lights, no need for flowery scripts, just the presence of each other in their weakest moments was enough to make their hearts feel at peace. Those were sick days, but they became sweet memories, proof of a bond that goes beyond the spotlight and rumors out there. The small house where Sam and Caitriona stayed in the heart of Edinburgh gradually became a separate world, separate from the spotlights, from the interviews or the noise of the press. The rain outside the window still fell gently, mixed with the sound of the wind blowing through the old trees, making the air even quieter. But inside, the mutual care made the room seem to be warmed by an invisible light. Sam sat on the chair next to the bed, her eyes still a little tired, but the patience and gentleness in every gesture made Caitriona feel at peace. He gently adjusted the blanket for her, placed a cup of warm water nearby, then quietly observed her every breath as if afraid that even a small cough would make her hurt more. "Sam, you don't have to take care of me so much," Caitriona said softly, her voice lost because of her dry throat. He leaned over, smiled slightly. "You took care of me yesterday, then I will take care of you today. That's called fairness." She smiled, her eyes sparkling with fever but still glowing with warmth. "You sure know how to win an argument." Time passed slowly. On normal days, they would be busy with long shoots, tight schedules. But today, there was no one else but the two of them, no script, no director, just candid moments. Sam told Caitriona about his childhood memories in Scotland, when he too was seriously ill and his mother sat by his bed reading him fairy tales. Caitriona listened, then smiled, saying that perhaps she was now the one who played the role of second mother in his memory. As the temperature cooled, they both lay on the sofa, wrapped in a large blanket. Sam played a classic movie softly, but neither of them really focused on the content. Occasionally Caitriona would rest her head on his shoulder, and Sam would gently hold her hand, their fingers intertwined as if afraid that at any moment they would lose each other. But the silence didn't last long. The phone rang. It was the manager, telling them that filming had to resume as soon as they could. Contracts, financial pressures, millions of fans waiting, all of it weighed heavily on the newly formed warmth. Sam looked at Caitriona. He knew she wasn't quite well yet, but her eyes held a familiar strength. "We'll be fine," she said, squeezing his hand gently. Sam nodded, but there was still a conflict inside him. Were they sacrificing too much of their own health and happiness for the world outside? That night, after they both fell asleep, Sam woke up suddenly. He looked at Caitriona's peaceful face beside him, heard her soft breathing. A fleeting thought made his heart sink. If one day the pressures outside harmed her, would he still be strong enough to keep this peace? He leaned down and placed a soft kiss on her forehead, a silent promise. The next morning, they woke up early together, still tired but determined. Caitriona made ginger tea, and Sam prepared some snacks. They encouraged each other that, as long as they got through it together, any challenge would be small. However, in their eyes, they both knew clearly. These sick days were not just a break. They had become a milestone, a reminder that fame, career, and stage light could fade, but the only thing that remained, and could keep them standing, was the care, understanding, and unconditional love they had for each other. Outside, the rain had stopped. The faint light of dawn shone through the window, illuminating their faces. Sam and Caitriona looked at each other, smiling, a smile that was both weak and full of faith. The story was not over. Because the challenge has only just begun, and the world out there still has hundreds of eyes watching. But for them, these weak days have become proof that, as long as they have each other, they will find the strength to continue, even if there are many storms ahead. A fleeting thought made Sam pause. He wondered, after all these years of living in the public eye, would they ever find their own private space that was not invaded? He didn't want to see Caitriona endure any more pressure from the curious eyes out there. He sighed softly, then lay down next to her. But instead of closing his eyes, Sam quietly stared at the ceiling, his heart full of unspoken plans. He wanted a life where they could wake up together, drink a cup of coffee without worrying about being photographed. He wanted them to be free, not just actors in someone else's story, but real people in their own story. The next morning, they left the small house to return to the studio. The atmosphere outside was as noisy as ever, flashing lights, loud calls of names, questions directed at them. Sam put his arm around Caitriona, protecting her from the jostling crowd. He heard whispers. They look so tired, did something happen? Caitriona gave a thin, professional smile like she always did. But Sam realized, behind that smile was an exhaustion that no one else saw. Between long and tiring scenes, Caitriona would sometimes cough lightly, and Sam would always be there immediately, handing her a bottle of water, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. Sometimes, Sam would cough dryly, and Caitriona would discreetly support him. No need for many words, just a light touch was enough for them to give each other strength. One evening, after the filming crew had finished, the two of them sat on the steps, watching the yellow lights of the city. The night wind carried a chill, but their hearts were strangely warm. "You know," Caitriona said softly, "those days when we were sick in that little house? I think those were the happiest I've been in months. No schedules, no pressure, just us." Sam was silent, but his eyes said it all. He felt it too, that sometimes, weakness was an opportunity for them to see each other's true value. In that moment, they both smiled, a gentle smile but containing 1,000 unspoken words. They knew that the storms were still ahead, the press, rumors, contracts, difficult truths. But they also understood one thing: as long as they had each other, all the storms out there could turn into fleeting showers. In the quiet of the night, Sam held Caitriona's hand tightly, whispering, "No matter what happens, I will always be here, like you were with me." Caitriona tilted her head, leaning lightly on his shoulder. "Then we will never abandon each other." And so, amidst the countless pressures that lie ahead, they find in their sick days the most precious thing, an unshakable bond. The story ends here, but also opens another door. A door leading to the following days, where the whole world can continue to observe and gossip, but only they understand that, deep down, the only thing that keeps them standing is the simple affection that is nurtured in the most fragile moments.